Hello, good evening, sir.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone who have joined us for the webinar series on research article writing and publication. We had started from August 1st and we have reached to the session 4 today. And today we'll be discussing on from draft to article, the process of publishing in an academic journal. And our speakers of the day is Professor Dr. Mamun Habib, who is a professor at School of Business, Independent University, Bangladesh. He is also a visiting scientist at University of Texas, Arlington, USA. And he's also the editor-in-chief of International Journal of Supply Chain Management. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
And our second speaker of the day is Dr. Sumit Narula. He is the editor-in-chief of the SCOPUS indexed and UGC Care listed journal named Journal of Content, Immunity and Communication from India. Dr. Sumit will be joining us soon. In between, we'll just go through an introduction to IFERP, who has joined us today for session 4. A short introduction.
Welcome to IFERP, a forum where innovations and research interest could be supported and developed, prioritizing our mutual interest. In this video, we want you to dive into our world, giving yourself a clear insight into IFERP. But first, who are we and what do we do? Institute for Engineering Research and Publication, IFERP for short, is one of the world's largest non-profitable professional associations operating under the Techno-Elite Research and Development Association, TRADA, meant for research and development in the field of engineering, science and technology. We are one of the largest professional bodies for engineering professionals in India and across the globe, established in 2014. We extend to every part of the globe with more than 28,000 professional members and 34,000 student members. Our growing membership at IFERP has led to an increase in members from Europe, Asia, Australia, Africa and the USA, fostering networking opportunities that strengthen ties within and across countries and technical communities. The mission of IFERP is to connect professionals at an integrated platform for growth to divert knowledge and skills towards the sustainable application of professional education and more. And our vision of digitalizing innovation processes through our professional networking services and more has pushed us forward to our achievements today. With our mission to make our academic services reach the top and grassroots level of institutions, we are funding colleges to organize conferences and scientific events, enabling researchers incubated at different areas of our country to directly contribute towards the transformation of India. IFERP simply connects engineers, exchange global innovation, and acts as a bridge between researchers and academics by organizing international conferences, world conferences, faculty development programs, webinars, seminars, providing membership, and more. Some of our conferences include WCASET Malaysia, WCASET Jakarta, ICAS ETAM APU Malaysia, and many more. We've also organised scientific events in association with renowned universities done in the past, with over 28,593 journal publication services, creating opportunities to get your research paper published in high impact factor journals such as Scopus Indexed, Web of Science, Google Scholar Index journals, ESCI, UGC approved, L Compandax, ISI, Chimago Index journals, and many more. To make our operations smoother and more perfect, we have been supported by our associated organisation, Association of Cloud Technologists, Global Association of Nanotechnology, International Association for Big Data Analysts, International Association for IoT, International Wireless Network Association, and World Association for Structural Engineers. We have also worked alongside several clients and partners both nationally and internationally like University Malaysia Sabah, APU Malaysia, UNJ Jakarta, MC University Thailand, Ajman University Dubai, PUP Philippines, IIUM Malaysia, ISU Philippines, FCPC Philippines, WCC Philippines SRM University, Galgotia University, Amity University, and much more government and private organizations in different countries. At IFERP, we believe that there's always a better way to treat professionals, and that is what we do. If you would like to see more or go deeper on IFERP, you can visit our website at www.iferp.in.
Okay. We'll quickly move on to the session, sir. And welcome all once again who have joined us this evening. Thank you for joining. And we'll move on to our sessions of the day.
Yeah. Can I get the hold of the?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. Today is the fourth day of our 5 days webinar series on research article and publications. So welcome to our session. This is our today's session, basically for from draft to article, the process of publishing in academic journal. So academic journal, this is a key point for today. This is Professor Dr. Mamun Habib. I think you already know from our moderator. Before going to start our session for today, I'd like to remind you again, if you have any query, if you could replace it here, so you just send the email with using that IFERP name in the subject of the email, and you will get the response from it within 24 hours. So today, our lecture basically the academic journal. So let us start by this one. What is the meaning by the academic journal? I think when some of them, they notice this term, academic journal. What is the meaning by the academic journal? Basically, this is a journal which are using the journal paper. So we are talking about the academic journal. There is another one, what we call the professional journal, or sometimes we call it trade journal. Is a journal written for people who work in a certain field. So that is the professional journal, the trade journal. Trade journals are halfway between the scholarly journals and magazine. You know, there are lots of magazine. Magazine means that there's lots of features, lots of interview, but this is not the in scholarly works. So that means the trade journal requires some background knowledge, but the articles are not scholarly in nature. Even in the trade journal, if there is any kind of article that is not the scholarly in nature. On the other hand, scholarly journal, what we call the academic journal, same meaning, same thing. Scholarly journals publish articles, usually articles about the research written by expert scholar in the field of the studies. So that is a very important discussion, is that a scholarly journal will be written by the expert scholars in the field of the study. Academic journal is a type of the periodical issue. That is the most important thing in the academic journal or scholarly journal. It's a periodical issue. Includes the original research articles written by the researchers and experts in a particular academic discipline, providing for the production and critique of knowledge. Okay, so look very carefully. What I said here, academic journal. If you talk about the academic journal, that will be the periodical journal. Okay, and definitely it will be written by the researchers. And what I said that that will be in the particular academic discipline, like engineering, artificial intelligence, triple electronics engineering, power electronics, management, economics, marketing, and providing a forum for the production and critique of knowledge. So when any journal will be published in the academic journal, maybe there is some of the critic discussion will come up, reviewer comments will come up. That is something we call it academic journal. So very key point is that what I said earlier is a periodical journal. So it would be the periodical, it would be like the 4 issue, so we call it quarterly journal, or maybe the 6 issue. In that case, we call it bi-monthly journal. If it is a 12 issue per year, we call it a monthly journal. So monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, something like that. It's a periodical journal. So when you can see the journal volume number and issue number, you can understand that is a periodical journal, that is the academic journal. So you remember that earlier we mentioned this on the conference paper, journal paper, book, chapter, book, or solo book. That journal means academic journal paper. So when you talk about journal paper, that means the academic journal paper. So I can remind you, our discussion today basically the journal paper, academic journal paper. And now comes the question that how you can come to the process of a academic journal publication. I like to start very easy way. So I assume that you're a very young scholar. You're some BTech student or MTech student, master's level student, or maybe the PhD scholar, or maybe you are the professor, university faculty member. So first of all, you are planning to submit the one paper in the journal, and your target is the academic journal paper. So how you could get it? Your first option is that you have to check the call for paper. Call for paper. So it is a call for journal paper. It is a call for journal paper. So you can search a call for journal paper. How you could search it? You can search from the Google. So in the Google, you have to write down call for journal paper. You have to mention the specific area, which area you like to publish the paper. And then you have to check this one. How you could understand whether it's a journal or not. Whether it's a journal or not. The option is that you have to check whether they have the ISSN number, International Standard Serial number. It is a mandatory for the any kind of academic journal. They should have the ISSN number. There are two types of ISSN, or the ISSN online and the ISSN print. So usually the ISSN online is easy to get, but print is difficult to get. So you have to check whether they have the ISSN online or ISSN print. And the duration, usually we assume that if you submit the one paper in any journal, it will take at least 4 to 6 months, at least. But if it is a Scopus in the journal or the Web of Science in the journal, then maybe it will take more than 1 year, sometimes 2 years. So that is another discussion. We'll discuss the next slide about this one. So you have to remember, you need at least 4 to 6 months, at least. So now you got the journal from the call for journal paper. So you have to submit the initial paper submission. Journal, they never ask you to submit the abstract. They always ask you to submit the initial paper. So you have to submit the first version of the journal paper through online or email. Nowadays, most of the journals they prefer the online submission rather than email submission, because online submission they can track easily. And if there's online system, then after the submission of paper, the paper will have the one unique number. We call it the tracking number, paper ID. It's a unique number. So you submit the paper initial version to the journal portal, and then you know that journal editor in chief, editor board member. So basically, editor in chief, editor board member, they're the responsible to review the paper. So that means the journal they have the like a editor in chief, highest person, then editor board member, then reviewer. So basically, editor in chief, he or she will assign who will be the reviewer for this paper. So you submit the one paper in the journal, and then there is 3 reviewers. They review your paper. It could be your editor board member, or it will be just simply reviewers. And now come to the question: who will be the editor in chief? Who will be the editor board member? Usually, we assume that if you have a paper more than 10 international papers, if you have more than at least 10 international papers, research papers, then you could be recognized as an editor board member. If you have more than 20 research papers, then maybe you could be recognized as editor in chief. I would say this at least. And now comes the question again: why you are publishing the paper? If you publish the paper in the one journal, 20 papers, one article, it's not acceptable. Even if you publish the article in the newspaper, it is not acceptable. So that means that this is another process. That who will be the editor in chief, who will be the editor board member. Basically, publisher they will choose the editor in chief, and then editor in chief will choose the editor board member and reviewer. So what I said there, basically editor in chief he or she will choose the editor board member, and editor board member will be selected the reviewer as well. So look very carefully the process how we are formulated the editor board member, the editor in chief. And now I already mentioned editor in chief. He assigned the 3 reviewers for this paper. So author will get the modification, with the reviewer comments, and they have to modify the paper based on the reviewer comments. There is some format. It depends on the journal. Usually, every journal they have its own format for the review process. So there is a few criteria. Based on that, they have to evaluate the paper. and they have to mention clearly that they accept it as it is, accept it as a minor correction, accepted the major correction, reject it. And in which ground you have to reject the paper, it's very important. And as well as if you think that you're a board member or you're editing chief or you're reviewer, you can take your own decision. Yes, you can take your own decision, but there is some protocol. If you say that reject the paper, but you have to mention which ground you like to reject the paper. So this is very important. Which ground you have to mention. So you have to mention specifically. You have to mention some comments, so that the based on that based on the authors they can modify their paper. As an editor in chief or editor board member, we always emphasize the positive construction. So your comments will be the positive comments, constructive comments, so that they can construct the paper, they can revise the paper. It is not like that if you say reject the paper and what is the reason? No reason. You cannot do this one. So that means you have to specifically mention which ground you like to reject the paper. So we assume that now author received the reviewer comments from the reviewers, and based on that author they have to modify the paper, and now they have to submit that final version. So we call it the final manuscript, or sometimes we use the term camera ready paper. Final manuscript or camera ready paper, camera ready version. So now you have to submit the final manuscript or camera ready version. So again, the online or email. I again remind email is old technique. The online is a modern technique, and now we prefer this one. That in the journal system, you have to log in by using your username and password. So first of all, you have to do the registration in the journal site, and then you have to log in there so that you can submit your final manuscript there. So that is the way that how you can submit your paper. For draft, for initial paper, draft version to the final version, final manuscript, camera version. And now come to the question that how long it will take the process. I can remind you, it depends the journal quality. If the SCOPUS in the journal, Web of Science in the journal, then it will take a long time. And now come to the question is that what is the role of editor in chief? Basically, editor in chief, he will emphasize on ethics. Today I'll talk about this ethics because we are talking in the academic journal, so we have to make sure this one is very important. Ethics in research, plagiarism. So basically, we have to check this plagiarism. And who will do this one? Who will do this one? Basically, it will be the main job of editor in chief. So he has to use the software, Turnitin or the IFERP software, and he has to check the plagiarism similarity index. Most of the journals they prefer the 20 to 30%. So usually until 30% similarity index is acceptable. But in SCOPUS in the journal, they prefer the 20%. But I can remind it's not the like the rigid process. It is the norms. Sometimes some of the journals they allow only 40%. So you can assume that 40% is your cutoff point. And sometimes there is a self-citation. So when there is lots of self-citation, there is the similarity will be high. But it is not acceptable. Is not acceptable. It is that dilemma. Should you use the self-citation or not? Should you accept or not? That's why sometimes the similarity is until 40% we accept. Okay. So editor-in-chief, basically before the publication, he or she has to check this plagiarism by the software. I just give the one tips. If you notice your paper is rejected, the main reason of paper rejection is that the plagiarism. The main reason to reject the paper is the plagiarism. So if you could avoid this plagiarism, or if you could maintain the similarity index not more than 40%, then you can assume that maybe your paper will be accepted. You can assume. So that is the one thing that plagiarism we have to check. Today we'll talk about these issues later on. How to determine the quality of the academic journal? This is another issue. I would like to request you that you can check that first that when you got the call for papers, you can get the journal name. Your first job, you have to check the editor-in-chief. Who is the editor-in-chief? So you got the name of the editor-in-chief. Now, your first job, you have to explore the profile of the editor-in-chief. If you notice that his profile is very rich, If you notice that his profile is very rich, that means no question about the journal. He knows how he will make this journal the more effective. This is the first job. Secondly, editor-in-chief, he is responsible to form the editor board member reviewer for the journal. Editor board member reviewer should be the multi-continents, should be from the different continents, different countries. If you notice, there is one journal, all the editor board member from the China. If you notice that all the editor board member from the China, something wrong. Something wrong. If you notice that all the editor board members from the USA, something wrong. And that's why what you said that you have to check this one. Then you have to check this one. Then you have to check this one that whether it's a peer-reviewed journal or not. Whether there's a peer-reviewed journal or not. They have to mention clearly peer-reviewed journal. So it's a mandatory, and definitely the blind review. Definitely the blind review. We prefer the blind review. Okay, so that is the one thing that we have to ensure the blind review is whether it's available or not. This is online and print. I only mentioned print is difficult to get. So at least that's online. Then I say print would be better if they have. Place of publishing is the issue. Where is the publishing there? And you know that I noticed that our Asian culture is that we always prefer that Scopus in the journal, Web of Science in the journal. But when I work in the USA researchers, I noticed they don't bother about this one. They bother about their own quality of their paper. They're feeling proud of their own paper rather than the journal. So that's the led to ensure that the quality they have in this paper. So what I said that is the best option is that even don't ask anyone. You can go to the journal site. You can check that the previous paper, and the journal's previous paper or previous issues. The journal's previous paper, previous issues, you can review. How many authors, how many papers in each issue, so you can check the quantity. If you notice that those papers published on the different continent, different authors, a different country, and then lots of paper in the one issue, that they have the good quality paper they have. That is the one indication the journal is a good journal. You have to check in the journal publication ethics is available or not. Publication ethics or publication malpractice statement is available or not. It's very important. In academic journal is very important. Academic anything is very important. So today we'll discuss about this issue. Then you have to check whether they have the indexing or not. This is a basic indexing, Google Scholar indexing. DOAJ, Directory of the Open Access Journal. Absolutely, the basic something. Or if you like to see the better journal or the best journal, then you have to check whether they have the Scopus indexing or they have the ISA indexing. We call it the Web of Science indexing. If you notice that they have the Web of Science indexing or Scopus indexing, you can understand this is the best quality journal. There's no question. Some of the journals they like to focus the journal citation index from the schema go or the impact factor they like to show. It's okay, you can check. There is another indication you can understand. But there is also the fake journal. They have the also impact factor. So sometimes it's very difficult for you justify whether the academic journal is a good quality journal or not. And that's why I discuss a few parameters. I like to request check all parameters and then come to the decision whether the journal is a good journal or not. This is one of the this is one of the factors to understand to determine the quality of an academic journal. Okay, so I don't want to talk about this one because in the first session you have heard about that academic journal paper, how you can write the journal paper. So you just remember, there's a few of the point. The key point is that what we mentioned here, the title must be there, abstract must be there, section 1, introduction, then the literature review, related works, methodology, section 4, model development, 3 development, section 5, presentation of data analysis, discussion, model development, evaluation, conclusion, and references. If your journal is a part, your journal paper is a part of your PhD research, so there is a possibility that model development, there's a possibility of model development. In that case, section 4 is very important, model development, theory development. Okay. And if you have model development, then there with in the model there are some variables. So we need a hypothesis to justify verify the hypothesis. So what I said that there are some variables In order to verify the variables, we need the hypothesis. So that means you need the data analysis part. Okay. And definitely, by the data analysis, you have to evaluate your model, evaluate your theory. And I just remind you again, suppose you are publishing the paper, academic journal paper based on your PhD, then you have to check, based on the literature review of your PhD dissertation, you can publish the 1 or 2 papers. That is the review paper. I think last session we discussed the review paper. So it means that academic journal paper will consist of the review paper, academic journal paper will consist of the research paper, academic journal paper will consist of the case study, academic journal paper maybe consist of the suppose the survey paper. So that's not the matter. Matter is that you can produce lots of journal paper based on your PhD dissertation. This is the basically abstract of an academic journal paper. I don't want to talk too much because you already got the idea about this one. So this is some of the, when you design the abstract, that you have to make sure that there will be the professional academic language is very important. And so the title is very important, how you can design the title. And you have to mention about the size of your abstract, whether 100 words or 300 words. And rationale will be there, general background will be there, main objective will be there, what type of study will be there, type of data you have to mention, sample size, number of respondents, submit procedures if possible, statistical tools if you use the structural modeling, multiple linear regression, MLR equations for the structural modeling technique you have to mention, findings of the study you have to mention, and the main findings. And definitely you have to mention that contribution or novelties of your academic journal paper. This is some of the basic some things, and finally the keywords. So when you design the journal paper for the academic journal, you just remember that you have to ensure the few something. Findings is mandatory. You have to mention about the contribution of the paper, novelties of the paper. That is another mandatory. And because when you publish any journal paper, this is one of the target. We like to ask, we like to know what is the contribution of your paper, why you like to publish the paper. So that is something you have to remember this. And I like to because this abstract is it what they call it is in brief, but abstract is the glamour of the academic journal paper. So when you design the abstract, I like to request spend more time, do some of the professional academic language, so that based on your abstract, your paper will be accepted. So that's why you have to ensure the few key points what I mentioned here. Okay, when you are planning for the academic journal, that time you have to mention the academic writing. You notice that in the last slides I mentioned that professional academic language. So you have to remember that academic writing is a very important issue. How you could ensure that professional academic language, how you can do this one. You know that academic writing in English is linear. I think those are the science students. I think you understand the linear. So that means the x-axis, y-axis is the linear. So one central point. You're writing the one paper, you target the one point. On central point or theme with every part contributing to the main line of argument without the digressions and repetitions. So only one central point. This is your target to reach. Its objective is to inform rather than entertain. It is not the entertainment English, academic writing. It is in the standard written form of the language. So you have to ensure this one. It uses the language precisely and accurately. You remember in the last 2 sessions, I provided a few journal paper, a few conference paper that I mentioned. I let you request you can check very carefully. We maintain that academic writing here. Look, there is basically 8 main features of academic writing. I just remind you again, it is not that necessary to ensure the academic writing every time, but if you do maintain the academic writing, that is the best. If you could maintain the academic writing, that is the best option for you. So that's why this is our target. Basically, 8 main features of academic writing. And the first of the complex. Written language is really more complex than spoken English. In the spoken English, you can say the guys, Guys. But in the written, in the academic language, you never use the guys. Guys is not a word at all. The verbal English is okay, but written you cannot write. So you have to understand you, only you. But it's not the academic word. That is the OIOU. And it's not the easy sentence, complex sentence. What I said, I've already provided a few sample of papers. I believe you already check it. And I think today also Jajila, she will send already the few two papers. Jajila, did you send our today paper, two papers we already provided?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So you can check.
We are giving them the options to download there itself, and plus we will be sharing on the screen.
Okay, thank you. So what I said, that is a way you can check that it's not very easy English, is that complex English was there. Okay. And it should be formal. It is the formal academic writing, it will be very formal English. Precision, facts and figures are given precisely, more precisely. If you say the supply chain management idea was very predominant in the last few decades, what is the meaning with the last few decades? Make them more specific. Maybe the last decade only, or something like that. And objective is very important. And written language is in the general objective rather than the personal. You never use the term that I think that, I know that's my opinion. Never, never, never. You can use the different way, the author, the researcher, the investigator. But you never say this way, I think that, I know that it's my opinion, the personal overview. No, 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 no. You cannot write, you cannot say. Explicit. You know, this kind of explicit word, adding some value to your sentence. What is that? Somebody use the term, the signaling words. Explicit or signaling word. What is that? However, in addition, nevertheless, similarly, for example, particularly, including, etc. I like to request which sample of papers I provided. You can check, you can try to understand that what type of signaling word we used. And then accuracy. You know that I mentioned earlier, you can rewording by the synonyms and thesaurus. I think you remember that, right? You know, my request is that you can change the word, but you have to ensure this one. You have to ensure this one. You should not change the main concept, main thing. Some of the words is only for the suppose. I give them one example. Say I said operational research technique, OR technique, operational research technique. And if you change the term, research, this is one term. Okay, change the term, but you cannot change this one because this is a correlated operational research technique. It's a structural equation model. It's an equation. We can change this term. Structural depends something, mathematical equation. This is something you have to understand. So that's why you have to apply the accurate vocabulary. And then hedge, by using the hedging, you can make the decisions about your stance on a particular subject or the strength of the claims you are making. You can mention that it is visualized, it may be, it could be happened, something like that. Means you target like to give the more strength to your stand. What is your position for a particular subject? You can provide this way. And the last one, that responsible. You must be responsible for what must be to provide any evidence, justification for any claims you may arise. It means that you know that you should take the responsibility, whatever you write. But I said that you must be responsible for and must be able to provide the evidence and justification for any claims you make. Say, suppose you are taking the one reference, you say, no, 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 no. Sorry, I didn't check that reference. You are using one citation, but you say, no, no, sorry, I could not check this citation earlier. You take the responsibility. So when you use any year, when you are using any year 2018, suppose the law, 2018, say. Now you said that someone asked, are you sure did you get it from law? No, sorry, I didn't check the reference. No. Check the responsibility. Whatever you write, you should take the responsibility. This is the most important academic writing. That's why we always mention that when you write any paper, especially academic for academic journal paper, you have to ensure every sentence will be rechecked, reviewed before the submission of the paper. So that is one of the issues, how you could ensure the academic journal paper will be more praiseworthy, more valuable. So today we mentioned there's 8 main features: complex, formal, precision, objective, explicit, accuracy, haste, and responsive. I can remind you, if you could maintain these 8 features in academic writing, it is excellent. But sometimes it's difficult to maintain. That's why I say that is your target to reach that level. Okay, so we are at the end of the stage for today lecture, publication ethics. As we are talking about the academic journal, then publication is the most important part. And I like to request, don't ignore this one, ethics, the research. And we always mention plagiarism, similarity index. So you have to remember this is a portion of the publication ethics. As we are talking about academic journal paper, you have to careful about this issue. We divided this publication ethics from the 3 perspectives. One for the editor board member perspective, responsibilities. Second one is the reviewer's responsibilities. And third one, the author's perspective. The responsibility of the board member, responsibility of the reviewers, and duties of the authors. So I like to discuss one 3 perspective, so that what is your position if try to understand. Maybe you're a reviewer, maybe you're a board member, maybe you're the author. So you can think what is your duty and responsibilities. Response of the editor board. The first of all, publishing decisions. You remember today I mentioned the process of journal publication, that you have to submit the paper, and then in the journal, then editorial board member or editorial chief, he or she will assign the few reviewers for your paper, and they will give you the decision. Say you receive the on paper from someone. You are the editorial board member. You receive the paper from the one journal to review. You are the editorial board member. You don't have enough time. You just mention that reject the paper. Publication decision, reject the paper. Why? You couldn't get enough time to review the paper. Unethical. Unethical. You cannot do this. Okay? So you have to remember this one, publication decision. And I use the one sentence today. When you are the editor board member or editor chief, you have to show you positive, constructive comments. Positive, constructive comments. It's very important. You should not be arrogant. You should be mild as your researcher, your editor board member. Fair play, it's very important. You should not look after the race, you should not look after the religion, you should not look after the color, you should be the unfair. You should not be the unfair, you should be the fair play. So what I said that I noticed this example. So as editor-in-chief, I am working for a long time in the SCOPUS in the journal. So I got lots of experience. Not only this journal, Industrial Journal Supply Chain Management, I'm involved with the many industrial journals, so Web of Science in the journal and SCOPUS in the journal. And what I noticed that, suppose when I send the paper to the 3 reviewers, one from the USA, one from the European country like UK, another from the Asian country, the author from the suppose Malaysia, Asia. So you are sending the paper from the Malaysian author, that's the Asian author, and 3 reviewers, one from the Asia, one from the Europe, one from the US. I got this experience from US that reviewer, he rejected the paper. And from UK, she accepted the paper with a major correction. But Asian reviewer, he accepted the paper with the minor correction. So one minor correction on major correction on received the paper. The question is why the US reviewer he rejected the paper. That is something. I always mention this one. Editor board member is also the human. So they cannot ignore themselves. So there is that something you have to try to understand. Confidentiality. Oh, maybe you can understand who is the author, but you never share with others. You never. My personal observation, I get this experience. Suppose I got the one PhD dissertation from India. Usually every month I am receiving their PhD dissertation for the as an external examiner. So this is very common for India. I'm involved with many or in the many universities in India as well as Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia as an external examiner. PhD external examiner. So then I notice that when I read the PhD dissertations, some of the PhD scholars they also submit the papers in different journal. I'm getting this their paper, so I can understand who is that, even in the blind review. So confidentiality is very important. You cannot disclose. Even it happens. Even my friend's paper was rejected by me, but I couldn't say anything because we have to ensure that quality of the paper. Disclosure and competitive interest is very important. What I said earlier, journal self citation. You cannot push everyone that you have to use our journal citation. You cannot push. You can appeal, but you cannot push. If you couldn't if you couldn't use our journal citation, we will not accept your paper. Oh, no, you cannot say this way. And sometimes, as the editor in chief, we face this issue that sometimes the other editor in chief of the other journals they send in the email for the any author's investigation, whether he already published the paper in another journal, and then again he submit the paper in our journal. So this kind of investigation is very important. As an editor-in-chief, I should involve there. That is the job of the editor board member as well. They have to involve with this kind of investigation, and they should cooperate. They should cooperate with the investigation. And now, responsibility of the reviewer. Responsibility of the reviewer. Now you are the reviewer, not the editor board member, not the editor-in-chief. First of all, contribution to editorial decision. You remember that you are the reviewer. I always do one thing is that when I receive any kind of journal paper for the review, I always think this is my first job. Because you understand, the authors of the journal, he or she is waiting for the decision. And even the editor-in-chief, editor board member, they're waiting for your decision. You should cooperate, you should contribute to the editorial decision. Proactive. You receive the one paper and you are spending the 3 months. It's not fair. Proactive, promote action. It's very important. Confidentiality, blind review. You never disclose the author's name to anyone. It's very, very important. It's very, very significant. That confidentiality. Standards of objectivity, quality. Try to understand. Try to understand what is the objective of the journal. What is the scope of the journal? We always mention the scope of the journal. So you have to check it very carefully. Whether the journal paper the author submitted in the journal, whether it's within the scope of the journal or not. So you have to check the objectivity of the journal. Acknowledgement of sources, whether they are using their citation properly or not. Whether they are doing the copy and paste, but they didn't mention anything. Whether they are taking any kind of source, any citation from the other journal paper, but they didn't mention. This is very important. So this is your job. You have to confirm whether they are using the acknowledgement of the sources or not. Disclosure and competitive interest is a very basic one. You have to understand this one. No information will be disclosed to others. All everything will be confidential. Even if you know some of the information, you cannot leak to others. This is very important as a responsibility of the reviewers. And now you are the authors. What is your duties as an author? First of all, reporting the standards. First of all, the reporting the standards. Standard. You remember I used the one thing, academic writing today. So try to follow this academic writing. It's very important. You are publishing one paper in the academic journal, but you have to follow this. Data access and retention. From where you are collecting the information, survey, number of respondents, and retention, you have to mention. Originality. You have to make sure this one, originality, plagiarism, similarity index. Especially when you are the author of on conference paper. Now you are planning to submit that conference paper to journal paper. So you have to modify the conference paper. and you have to modify about 50% of modification, and you could do this modification in the abstract, in the literature review, references. Earlier you have taken the 100 respondent, now you can take the 150 respondent, something like that. So this is very important. You have to check the plagiarism. Multiple, redundant, and concurrent publication. What I said that you submit the one paper in the one academic journal. Now you are submitting the paper in another journal. You cannot do this one. You cannot do this one. You should wait. You should wait to take the decision for the first journal. If it is a reject your paper, then you can think of the next journal. Otherwise, you cannot do that one. This is the academic world. I always say academic world is very small world. So any editor-in-chief, he or she has the intention to contact with me, they can send the email directly and we will respond. Highest priority. So it is not like that you submit the one paper in the one academic journal. Now you're submitting the same paper in another academic journal and there is no communication. No, they have a communication. They cannot do this. Acknowledgement of sources. I already mentioned there is a very important issue is the references. Earlier we said that we can apply the quotation. For the basically publication ethics, we are using the COPE, Code of Publication Ethics. This is our norms. All over the world, we are using these norms. COPE, Code of Publication Ethics. So they are always changing that ethics, publication ethics. So once at a time, we use that quotation. And now we prefer this or no. You don't want to do any kind of quotation. It should be the revised paraphrased by you. But you must use the acknowledgement of sources as well. There are two things. You have to mention the acknowledgement of sources as well. The next one, the authorship of the paper. How many authors? Sometimes some of the academic journal, we notice the number of authors, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 authors. They come to the question, why there 5 authors? Why the 10 authors? Are you sure the 10 authors, they have written this paper? No. Maybe only 1 or 2, they have written this paper, and the remaining, the faculty dean, and the vice chancellor name, pro vice chancellor name, senior professor name. Why you are using their names? Because they like to give you some privilege to this paper. You have to take this issue seriously. That we prefer. It is a norm that we should not use more than 4 to 5 authors in one journal paper. 4 to 5. So that is something you have to try to understand. Disclosure conflict of interest. You have to check this one. You have to check the scope of the paper, scope of the journal, whether it is conflicted or not. If it is a conflict, you should not submit the paper at all. And fundamental errors in published works. What kind of plagiarism? You are reading the few sentences, but you didn't mention the reference. These are fundamental errors in published works. So when you are the author, you try to understand how you can take this responsibility. We don't want to use the term for responsible for the author. So when you're the author, this is your duty. You must fulfill. And if you could fulfill, then you can say this is a successful academic journal. Our target to paper will be published in the academic journal, but we have to ensure this responsibility. So basically today we discussed a very important discussion is that publishing ethics and publisher malpractice statement. From 3 perspectives, responsibilities of an board member, responsibility of a reviewer, and duties of an author. So I believe that you can think when you write any journal, academic journal paper. Okay, so Zazila, can you
Yes, sir.
upload the papers what I sent you?
Fine.
And during the uploading, if possible, can you take some question?
Yeah, sure. This one.
Yeah, oh, you got it already. That's fine.
Yes.
Can you come down?
Yeah, sure.
This is the one academic journal. Scientific research, the publisher, they publish this one. And basically, I delivered the one lecture in the one conference as a keynote speaker. And that keynote speaker, the keynote speaker with this presentation and the highest honor. but there is no conference proceedings. But that conference was patronized by the few journals. It's one of the journals. And they contacted with me and they requested me, so the conference organizer, they like to publish the one keynote paper for me. And that's the keynote paper was submitted. But remember what I said that is I deliver the keynote speech, presentation, but not the paper. But then I submit the one keynote paper in the journal. You see in the first sentence, this keynote paper represents the theory of supply chain management, its future implications, as well as demonstrate chronological perspective of supply chain management in terms of time frame in different areas of manufacturing and service industries. You know what I match academic writing? And how what I said that you have to connect academic writing and should be complex, not very simple. You see in this sentence what you said here. The keynote paper represents the theory of supply chain management. So one part, its future implications, another one, as well as demonstrate the chronological perspective of supply chain management in terms of time frame. So the time frame will be there in different areas of manufacturing service industry. Look very careful how you are working on that. And can you come down, please? Come down. Yes. Come down, please. You see, we mentioned here, come down. Come down. I like to show the one figure. Not this one. Can you up, down? There's a timeline. There's a timeline. Evolution timeline. It is the page number. It is the page number 240. Yeah. You see this evolution timeline? So you mentioned here, evolution timeline is there. So that is something you have to understand. In the first sentence, in the abstract, we try to focus what is we are going to do. And then we are discussing many things, right? Okay. Just hold on. I'm saying which one you can open. Can you go to the conclusion part?
Yes, sir.
You see the conclusion, what you said here. Basically, here we are using structural equation modeling technique, multivariate regression equations. Okay. You see what you mentioned here. We mentioned here. This paper proposed the model of academic supply chain management for the tertiary education institutions. This model links the education management with general business management. From a managerial point of view, this research provides a novel approach to develop and supply chain management application in the academy. Look very carefully. We try to mention here that what we did in conclusion. Conclusion is the what I said earlier, a summary of your findings. The summary of your findings. Conclusion is your contribution. And what is said here, look very carefully. We mentioned this paper proposes the model of academic supply management for the tertiary institution. Findings. This model links the education management to general business management. Another finding. From a manager point of view, this is a novel approach. This is a contribution. Provides a novel approach to developing as in supply chain management application in the academy. Zidila, there is some sound is coming.
Yes, sir. That's Dr. Sumit's background. Yeah.
So what I said.
So he may continue.
Yeah. So what I said that is the one thing when you write the conclusion, you have tried to understand. You have to explain this on what I mentioned in the last session: recommendation, further study, findings, contribution of the paper. This is a basic one. You have to focus. Can you open the another paper? What is displayed to you?
Yes, sir.
Can you do that now, or will it take time?
Yeah, sure.
Can you, if you go, this is basically one book chapter, but I like to show some academic writing part from here. Can you go down, please? Do you remember today? Wait. Can you read it up first page, please? Today I mentioned down. Today I mentioned this term, the signaling word. You can use some signaling word. Can we come down? You see, we mentioned here 4 aspects of each activity, namely program solution, university culture, faculty capabilities, and facilities were investigated at strategic planning operating levels, namely the signaling word. By using namely, we are connecting the two parts. And then come to the can you come down a little bit down, please? Wait. You see what is said here. The ITESA model furnishes stakeholders of the supply chain the appropriate strategies to review and appraise their performance toward fulfillment of ultimate goals. That means the producing high caliber graduates and high ambitious outcomes, which represent the main contribution for the betterment of the society. How many parts of the sentence? How we can connect this one? See, very interesting thing. We see we mentioned here I.E. That means produce a high caliber graduate and high ambitious outcomes, comma, which represent the main contribution for the betterment of the society. You see how you connect this one. Come to the next one. The researcher investigates numerous literatures on supply chain management to shed light on educational supply chain management and how that may be operated and coordinated to achieve the goals. You see, what I use as academic writing, complex, not a very simple sense. The researcher investigates numerous literature on supply chain management to shed lights on education supply chain components and how that may be operated and coordinated to achieve the goals. Complex, not very simple sentence. Okay. Can you come down, please?
More down, sir.
Wait. I think we are on the running of the time. So I think you can stop now, but you already shared with the participant, right?
Yes, sir. It's shared with them.
Okay. So thank you so much. They can get the more information from the paper. So now we'd like to open the floor for the question and answer.
Yeah, sure. We'll take some questions and then move on to our second speaker. He has joined us.
Yeah.
Dr. Sumit is online. The first question of the day is, how can we avoid rejection of our paper? Rejection can easily discourage researchers. What is the best attitude towards rejection?
You try to avoid the plagiarism. If you similarity index below 40%, paper never rejected. The only one reason a paper must be rejected due to the plagiarism. If the plagiarism 80%, it will be accepted. If paper plagiarism 60% is not acceptable at all. So that is the best way, best approach to reduce the similarity index. First one. Second one, if you ask me from my point of view as editor-in-chief or editor board members or reviewers, we try to provide the best approach to the young scholars. But sometimes we are not, we are unable to do this due to the plagiarism. And remaining issue can cover up. You can give lots of comments, maybe the 1 page, 2 page comments. But if there's a plagiarism issue, it's very difficult for us to handle. So that's why the main reason they try to avoid the plagiarism. Even you can do the copy and paste, but you have to revise and reword and rewriting, paraphrasing what I said earlier. Next.
Okay.
Next question.
Our next question is, how can we get the list of high impact journals with little or no article processing fee? Is it good to submit in the first issue or a new journal with no reputation?
Basically, I do not prefer any kind of list. Even Scopus, they offer the Scopus in a journal list. You can use it. Or the Schema Go, they have a journal list. You can use it, no problem. But question is that Now you see the one journal. This is the suppose that Q3 or Q4, but it will take the almost a few years to come to that level. And now if you're choosing any journal, Q1 or Q2 journal, the problem is that it will take the long time, the more than 1 year and 2 years. So then again, the question will be there. If you submit the paper, there is a possibility of rejection. I prefer the person, if you're the young scholar, that the first time you publish the paper, then you have to go to the peer-reviewed journal. Do not go for the SCOPUS or Web of Science Index journal. With Web of Science Index journal and SCOPUS Index journal, that is a long process. When you have a few papers in the peer-reviewed journal, then you can come back to the SCOPUS Index journal or Web of Science Index journal. That is a more good practice for you to learn and how you can think that the paper will actually rejected. But do not follow the high impact journal at first. And what I said that there's another tricky process. You can choose that first issue, second issue of the journal. And usually it is a very easy to publish. But who knows, after 1 and 2 years, this journal will be Scopus Index. At that time, then your paper will be Scopus Index. This is a tricky process, but before that, you have to confirm who is the editor-in-chief and who is the editor board member of the journal, because they are the most important critical jobs they have to do to confirm that Scopus Index and a Web of Science Index. So if you are confirmed that there is a good editor-in-chief and good editor board members, why not you can go to the publish there for first issue, second issue. Maybe in future, after a few years, the journal will be the Scopus Index. Okay. I noticed that Dr. Sumit Narula is there.
Yes.
How are you, sir?
Has joined.
Good evening, sir. Fine. Nice to see you, sir. I have learned a lot from your lecture.
No.
Yeah, very nicely explained that SCM and all. I will be also showing some of the papers to them only.
Yes,
that how to go about it, and I will be starting from where you left.
No problem. Thank you, sir. So, Jajila, we can take another one or two questions.
Just one or two, and we'll move on to Dr.
Second session. Right.
Our next question is: what is the position of authors and co-author in research and review paper?
You know that usually we assume that main author is the main of the paper, and then co-author is supporting the paper. Even in terms of financial contribution, many universities in the world, they're giving the one Scopus in the journal, there is 2,000 US dollars, say. So they'll distribute it this way. First author will get the 1,000, and remaining author will get the remaining 1,000. So you understand that you have 3 authors, so the first author will get the 1,000, the remaining author will get another $1,000. That is in terms of financial contribution. And I noticed that there is many authors, 4, 5, 6 authors, even they do not do anything. And they just using their name, that do the position. Even this is not a good practice. So you have to ensure that if you use any co-author's name, they have some contribution at least. That is something that you can show to others. And the review process, we notice that we assume that when you do the review, the first author is the PhD scholar, so the young scholar, researcher. And second author, third author is hopefully the supervisor, advisor, the senior professor, faculty members. We assume that. Next question.
Okay, sir. We'll take the next set of questions towards the end. Dr. Sumit, sir, you can start the presentations.
Yeah.
Without any delay.
Yeah. So, if you, Dr. Sumit, if you allow me, I'd like to leave now. And if any other further question, if participant has come to me, I'd like to, you can pass to the email, or you can pass to Jazila so that she can forward to me. So thank you so much.
Sir, we'll do that.
And thanks
Thank
to
you, sir, for joining today.
IFERP for organizing this kind of 5 days, the publication webinar. And definitely this kind of speaker like Dr. Sumit and others, those can add the more values, definitely. And we are very happy that you can add some contribution to the participants. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Best of luck, Dr. Sumit.
So your mic is off.
Thank you, sir, for this gestures. I will be staying in touch with you. I will be taking your details from ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity to talk to 122 participants. They are still there. It's good. That means the search lecture was very good. Yes, nobody left there because of search lecture. So I will be just turn my screen on. I will be directly taking you to the paper, because that is the most important thing that we will be discussing here today. So this was my paper. It has recently been published in the Journal of Content, Community and Communication, being run by us. This is the only media journal in India by a university which is there in the SCOPUS index. And this is a paper. That paper is what drives retail investors' investment decisions. Evidence from no mobile phone phobia, nomophobia, and investor fear of missing out. So I worked on nomophobia in 2016 when I went to IMCR London for a scholarship. And there I presented something on nomophobia because it was a new topic. Then one of my colleagues, Dr. Atul Shiva, we worked together, and then he worked on investor fear of missing out, that how investor feels when he feels that he is missing out of a cell phone. So this paper was all about how do you feel when you do not have a smartphone with you. It's a very tricky question. So we worked on it, and it was a very scintillating study, and it is being appreciated by all around the world. We are sending, this is free of cost paper. You can download it, you can cite it. I will also be giving the copy to Jazila, to give it to all the participants. So the topic of my discussion was that how to write an abstract and a full paper and to go for other things. And meanwhile, Jazila, please go for questions also. Any questions related to research and all, I will be also able to answer.
Yeah, sure. We'll do
Right?
that.
So let's see the abstract of this paper. Just look at this abstract. This abstract has all the brief things that we are doing or that we have done in the 20 pages of research paper in just 15 lines. So just see it carefully once, and then you can determine that how to write an abstract which will give you the crisp knowledge of what is there in the research paper. You can see the main objective is to study the impact of nomophobia on retail investors' investment decisions. The relationship was further analyzed by incorporating the role of investor-related fear of missing out. So just see it again carefully, that it has all the details required in a research paper. A total of 265 retail investors were used to analyze the data and to explore this new phenomena by PLS, partial least secure structural equational modeling, PLSM. It is a version 3.2. We also written the version that is 3.2. And further, importance performance map analysis, IMPA, was applied to investigate the critical factors for determining investor behavior. So this is how abstract should look like. And then this is a keywords. You must give good keywords so that your paper can be shown everywhere. And then we have to go to the introduction. So in introduction, the first line is being given with the citation. So wherever you write something, here it is a citation. Here it is a citation. Wherever you write something which you have taken from somewhere, like sir have told you need to avoid plagiarism. Plagiarism is a menace. Please avoid plagiarism as much as you can. This is an A category paper because we don't have any kind of plagiarism in this paper. So wherever you wrote or you discuss anything, just give the citation. This is like Gazin et al. 2019. Again, Gazin et al. Drug 2018. Drug 2018. Frencher et al. 2018. Prirbowski 2018. 16. Ake and Yelgren. Genzin and Kalgren. So you need to give more and more citations in your research papers to avoid plagiarism. And once the plagiarism is avoided and you are below the accepted line, your paper will be selected as mentioned by sir also. And I am also the same point of view. Most of the papers are rejected because of the plagiarism attached in it. So try to avoid the plagiarism with these citations. And then just look at this again and again. Brown et al. Soft. Now all the citations which you are given here should be at the back only. You need to go to this is the last page, and then you need to check it in the references also. That whatever you have written there should be here in alphabetically order. So that both the things match, right? Now then, very important part which you always miss. In literature review, we have to give the theoretical framework. Theoretical framework is must. You just cannot get your paper approved without a theory in it. You need to give a theory in every paper you write. Most of the good journals always ask for theories. They ask for theories so that they can check the paper's theoretical version, so that they can see whether this paper is theoretically right or not. So here you can see being Bedley, Kumar and Goel. In this regard, the most common tool used is a mobile smartphone. So the theory here was used, fear of missing out theory. where the people think that they are missing out. Investor fear of missing out. They are missing out of something, and that missing out of something is giving them jitters. They are starting shivering. They are starting getting some kind of psychological disorder problems, and this has been proved by nomophobia questionnaire NMPQ by Yelrin and Korea in 2015. I will be showing you that questionnaire also at the end of the paper. You have to attach the questionnaire at the end of the paper if you have used a questionnaire in your research. And then you have the conceptual model. This is also a must, that what kind of things you are looking in that research paper, what is your concept, and how this conceptual model is evolving, and where do you see that your paper will fit. So this was a conceptual model. Then we have the nomophobia and investor behavior, that how nomophobia is creating an anxiety syndrome. And now if you are talking about anxiety syndrome here, you need to tell that from where this thing has come. This thing has come from King et al. 2018 study, right? And then they leads to panic attacks, everything. So these are the people, those who have worked on panic attacks and nomophobic individuals. 2017, 18, 16, again 17. So you need to collect all the studies together, and when you write a pair of it, then you have to give the citation to them, so that it should look like the right paper. Thus, similar phenomena can be investigated for nomophobia and investor behavior caused by lack of information in financial markets. You can see here, Saft, Wadhwa, right? So these are some of the points. Now, the main point is that you have to give H1 also, and H2 also, and H3 and H4 also. That is the hypothesis of the paper that you have written. So we will go to the hypothesis. These are the hypotheses of our paper. IFOMO and investor behavior. Nomophobia influences the IFOMO behavior of the retail investors. IFOMO influences the investment decision of retail investors. IFOMO mediates the relationship between the nomophobia and investment decisions by retail investors. So we need to tell the hypothesis, right? And then the study goes on. And this is a proposed conceptual model where nomophobia has 4 factors: no communication, no connection, no access, no convenience. This is investment FOMO, and it is changing the investment decision, which is a second order, higher order construct, and which has 4 aspects of it. So till then, research was done till here. This one is being done by us. It was being done earlier in 2015. This was also being done. We started with this. And here also, IFOMO. And this decision was there. Research methodology, this is also there. You can see there. The present study was conducted on the major financial markets located in Mumbai and Delhi. Further data was collected from our major cities of India to represent the behavior of Indian investors by an online questionnaire due to lockdown imposed during the months of March to May. Online survey was conducted by applying non-probability purposes sampling method. So you have to tell everything, what kind of sampling method you have reached. And why you have used this method is like this: widely accepted multivariate analytic method by Hare et al., Nids et al., Richer et al., Ringel et al., Hare et al. Right? So these are the results. So now, why you have taken a sample size of 265, which is very less in terms of the sample size. But if you know about the G-star power analysis software by Fowl et al. In 2009, you can say that your sample size should be 226, but you have taken 265, which is good enough. So this is a kind of statistical procedure that we do. So for that, you need to take a statistical class. But I can just tell you that go to Google, download the G-star software, attend 2, 3, 4 classes on YouTube, and then you will know how to use G-star for your sampling technique. And then you can prove that with the sample size of 266 or 265, you have the adequate and appropriate sample size requirement. This is also a very important question. Most of the times it is being asked, what should be a sample size? What should be the sample size? So this should be the appropriate sample size. That is 226. Next is measurement model assessment. These are the measurement models. Age, frequency, percent, education qualification, frequency, percent, income, marital status. It's very simple graph. I will show some technical also. Then this is factor loading, quality criteria for reflective model assessment and composite model. You can see the loadings, convex alpha. This you have to give. Then the composite residual value, AVE, average variance, right? Discriminant validity assessments. Above 7 are being bold to give you the clear idea that they're connected with each other. HTMT ratio. Then there's the colored one, the PLS. Nomophobia again, investment decision, education, age, gender, second order conduct, investment folio, IFERP 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9. Structural model assessments, supported, not supported. IMPA, very important point. This is a very upcoming thing. In order to further strengthen the results of construct under study, we have applied priority map analysis, which is also termed as impact performance map. Here also citations are given. Everywhere you will find citations. Until unless it's not our own study, you will find citations. VAF also been given. I will show you the diagram of IMP. Here it is. Right. So then the references. References plays a very important part. So always have good references. Every reference being checked and then carefully use it in your research. This is one paper. I will be showing you a couple of papers. Now I will directly go to some questions. I will stop sharing here. I will try to go to some questions so that they can understand. Otherwise, it will be kind of boring for them.
Okay, fine. We'll pick up some quick questions. So we had here a question related to theoretical frame. What do you mean by theoretical frame? And what cautions should be taken in writing the theoretical model? And how theoretical model differs
the
from a
theoretical model that you have to
model.
take a theory out of it, like theory of cinema, theory of peace building, theory of your HR. So anything that's related to your subject needs to be backed by a theory. Whatever you want to publish need to be backed by a theory. There should be a theory behind it. Otherwise, it will not be possible to have a research paper. You need to have a theoretical background. Whatever we do, we need to back it by a theory. Now the conceptual is that what is your concept? How you are conceptualizing your model after the theory. Now you got the theory. Now you need to reach the concept and then you go for the conceptual model. So both these things are related to each other, but we must need a theory to back it. So now I can give you one email, one source also. I will just see whether it is working or no, not. So it is for to get the theories.
Okay.
Just a second. I will type it here. Is that theories? So this was a yeah. So I'll just show you. Yes, here it is. I'll just share my screen for once again. Just a second.
Okay, sir.
Just see this. Can you see this, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes. istheorizeit.org. Please, everybody, write it down carefully. is.theorizeit.org. It has all the theories here, man. All the theories which are related to your study. So, like, if you want to go into the elaboration likelihood model, so it will give you the main dependent and main independent. So it will give you both the variables. This would be the diagram of that study. So it's just an example. There are many theories here. Here are the theories. So you can pick the theories that you're looking for. see the dependent and independent variable, see the diagram that it is going for, and then you go for your own research. So now TTAT, that is also there. These are the models, right? So this is the answer to ma'am the theories thing. The answer is is.theorizeit.org.
Okay.
So they go there. They go
yes,
there,
yes.
and they can check the theories they are looking for. There are a couple of theories, many theories.
There is a related question to it. How is a theoretical framework different from a literature review?
Theoretical framework will come after the literature review. First, you review literature, and then out of that literature, you go for a theory, and then your theoretical framework will come. Like you have working on gamification, so you have read more about games. Now you're looking for a game theory. After literature review, this theory will come to you. This game theory. So first you have to do literature review. That is the foremost thing. So this is the game theory. Theory of games, theory of social institute, main independent constructs, main dependent construct. Here it is.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
is.theorize.org is very important.
Okay. I hope that's clear. And our next question is it better to avoid self-citation? What are the benefits of self-citation?
You can cite 2 or 3 papers, but you just cannot self-cite you in the full paper again and again. Yes, you can cite once or twice in your paper, so it is good. Like I always cite my paper. I just showed you my paper. This is my paper. So I cite it. I cite it sometimes. It is recently been published. So I cited in around 1 or 2 papers. So once and twice you can do it.
Okay.
There is no harm in it until unless the paper is really very good and you're very proud of your paper.
And our next question is, what are the parameters that command high citation irrespective of the type of journal or conference paper? How can we make our publication visible?
Now, can you repeat the question? How?
What are the parameters that command high citation irrespective of the type of journal or conference paper? And there's a question attached to it related. How can we make our publication visible?
Oh, okay. To make your publication visible, you have to speak to others like I have spoken to you about my publication. You can also do that about your own publication. It is a very good paper. Please send the copy to me also. I will cite it. Like I will be sending you my paper to cite it. So self-publication or self-publicity is also important that you have to do with your paper. You can email it, you can put it on LinkedIn, and you can send it to others for review. Even after publication, you can review it and you can have a better paper out of it. So first is that it is in your own hand to get it publicized. The second one is if it is published in a good and reputed journal, it will generate its own citation. So you don't need to worry for that. But how will you see it? So it depends upon the visibility and health of the H index. Health is H index of the journal. So those journals who are at the health index of 1 or 2 are volatile, but those who are at the range of 8, 10, 12 are having a good reputation and good health. So if your paper is published in those journals, it will be highly reputed and it will be highly cited. Plus, you have to do your own efforts also. Like I am doing for citations, my other colleague is also doing for citations. So that is there that you have to do your own work and you have to publish in good journals so that it should be visible. It should always be in any of the index, A, B, C, C. It can be in ABDC. It can be in Web of Science. It can be in SCOPUS. Try to publish in some of the indexing agencies. I got a question in the last which sir replied that whether you want to publish it in SCOPUS or not. I would like to answer here that for that you need to have an index journal. It is always risky to give a good paper to a journal which will not be indexed or which couldn't get indexed. So your paper will be wasted. So you wrote a very good research paper, you gave it to a journal who just started, and after 3 years SCOPUS will take it. And if SCOPUS didn't take it after 3 years, so you never know that when SCOPUS will take it. So try to publish in the journals, even if they are in Q4 or Q3, try to publish them in SCOPUS or in Web of Science or in ABDC list, so that there is always a margin of your paper to go high.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And shall we take one more question, sir?
Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah. How ORCID works? Could you please guide us on this?
Yes, ORCID. I will just open my ORCID ID for you. Nice question. I will just show my screen. again. This is my ORCID ID. It's like a 16-digit number given to all. And once you open it, it has all the details of research, of projects, or job. In foreign countries, in other countries, they do not ask for your big CV. They just ask for your ORCID ID, and from there they get your details. I recently got a funding from USA, and there they just asked for my. This is the funding I got. They just asked for my ORCID ID. So just look at this ORCID ID. Here has my employment, my education and qualification, my invited positions, membership and service, funding. Till now, I've got funding, work, my work, and it is attached with my SCOPUS and Web of Science ID. Whatever I publish in SCOPUS will directly be attached here. This is my SCOPUS ID. This will directly take you to my SCOPUS account. This is the profile. Mendeley also. Anything that you do on research, here it is. My SCOPUS ID. The citations and everything. So this is the ORCID ID, ma'am. I think people can see it. Your research paper, your DAY, and everything. Whatever you publish, it is in ORCID. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And can we take one more question, sir?
Yes, yes.
Okay. What is the procedure in deciding sample size for data collection?
Yeah, sample size. You have to go to, I will just share my screen. I'll just show you the software that is G Star. So it will be kind of hands-on. For that, there you can share the sample. G Star. G Star Power. It is a German software. It's a free software. Just download it and use it for you. Download the G Power manual, and this is a PDF one. Here it is the citation. These are the two citations you can give, which we use. Download G Power for Mac OS. This is for me, and this is for you. Unzip it, download it, and then you can use it. And here you can put your samples, and then it will give you the results. So these are the free software. These are the picture. Here you put the values. It will give you all the things. So it is a kind of 2-3 hours of lecture, but it's just I'm giving you a simple version of it that you can download it and you can use it. And for any problems or anything, you can email me on my email ID, that is smarula@gwa.met.ed, or you can take it from ma'am also. So if there are any queries on this, I will be happy to reply on email. Otherwise, it will take quite some time to understand this G Power software. But this software will help you in getting a good sample size of whatever kind of population you are having. I will just see whether it is there on my this thing, so I can just use it once to show you if it is there with me right now. I think it's not here with me also. So you just download it once and then try to use it. If there is any problem, then I will help in that in Dropbox.
Okay.
But,
okay, so then we'll continue with the presentations.
Right. I will show you one more, just one more full paper, which has been recently been published. Yeah, there it is. Here it is. It has recently been published. Measuring the impact of eco-friendly or green marketing on buying behavior of Indian consumers, written by my colleague Dr. Dhruv Sabharwal and myself. In this paper, we used AMOS and SmartPLS both. That is structural imaging. The same thing is, first is the abstract. After abstract, good keywords which are related to the study. Then the introduction part of it with citations. Again and again, I'm repeating with citations. 1, 2, 3, as much as you can, 4, 5, 6, as much citation as you can give. There's not a single line which is not there in citation. Now you can see I have mentioned myself here, right? I cited myself. So once I have cited, that I can do with my own citation. And coming down, introduction, literature review, the headings, the summary of the literature. You can make this kind of tables also. This is a new thing that has come, which was not there earlier. The literature review in the kind of boxes. Then the hypothesis, again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Research problem and objective, which can be theory also. This can be written as a theory also. The 4 green P's of green marketing theory. Only 150 is the sample size and it got selected. Sampling data. Measurement model, result analyzing and finding. Again, Cronbach alpha, AVE, CER, correlation between constructs. So nowadays the research has changed. You need to give the quantitative aspect to it, and that quantitative should lead you to some kind of modeling, some kind of diagrammatical representation with proper things. Here you can see the indicators and everything. So hypothesis testing. So these things are now in. So if you're looking for good papers and good publication, you need to have hold on Smart PLS or NVivo or GPowerStar or other related softwares where you can work and give us good results. You just cannot simply write a theory and can then say that it will be published. It is now difficult these days to get it published. You can see. Now again coming to the references. Right, here is my own citation. Right, so these 2 papers I just wanted to show you. Like, I could have shown you some foreign papers also, but I just wanted to show that what we Indians are doing. So we have also understood what foreigners are doing and how they're publishing good papers. So we are also started using these softwares in our research, and it has started giving us results. And I would like to tell you that you must understand 4 to 5 softwares, that is SPSS, SmartPLS, go for NVivo, Atlas TI, and try to go for some kind of basics of R. These 4 or 5 softwares will help you to understand the market and the research carefully. Coming to you, ma'am, for questions.
Our next question is how to make the models for the paper.
Yes, so models, that's why I told you. You need to have a knowledge of the software called smartpls.com. I will just show you that software. Here it is, smartpls.com. So you need to have the knowledge of this software. There are a couple of workshops going on in this lockdown period everywhere in India, around the world. So try to attend some of the workshops and then see that how these are the diagrams, how these powerful images are being generated from your data. And it is the workhouse for all the beginners as well as for experts. So there are books also. There are many things that they are related to it. So then we have SPSS also software. This is also there. This is an IBM software. That is a German software, not PLS. This is an American software. So you can work for this also. You can take this also. And then we have NVivo also for qualitative. So NVivo will give you the qualitative data analysis software. You can go for. So you need to attend some of the workshops or to learn through YouTube and all these three softwares to come out of these figures. Next question, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next. If there are 5 authors in one academic journal, how many of them get the privilege of that paper? First 2 authors or all the authors?
All the authors, but the ratio will be like first and then the corresponding author. Who is the corresponding author? The first author and the corresponding author will get the same ratio, and then the rest of will be divided into the remaining authors.
Okay, the person as like
First and the
earlier
corresponding
journals
author.
are mentioned. Yes, earlier journals mentioned 2 authors will get the privilege.
2 author, the second should be the corresponding author. If 2 is, if like I'm the second author in my research paper, so I will get the opportunity of second author. I was not the corresponding author. If I'm the corresponding author and there is first author, they both get the same marks. Because first author is somebody, corresponding author is somebody, but they get the same marks. So if there are 5 authors, one should be the one author, first author, and then there should be a corresponding author, and then the other. This is how they take it. In social sciences, maybe there can be some kind of difference or deviation in sciences.
Okay. We had a question back to the models, regarding the models.
Models
Can
is
we
interesting.
apply?
Models, for that you need a full 5 days workshop that we take with students, around 100 students every
Exactly.
5 days.
Can we apply econometric model in research paper?
Yes, definitely we can apply econometric models. So, but we need to have that knowledge. We need to understand that why we are using it, what is there in it, and how to use it, how to utilize the modeling process. So that is it.
Okay.
So now modeling has come to social sciences also. I have just learned modeling 3 years back only. I was not into modeling, I was into qualitative. But now it has come to our house also. Now even a social scientist or a social researcher, I have started getting paper in my journal of all the modeling thing, and I have also understood that. So in this edition, out of 22 research papers which I have published, 17 are of structural equation modeling. So you can well imagine the wider range of research that they are doing. And now in the next edition, we will be working on NVivo. So we are expecting around 15 papers of NVivos in our next December edition. So that because it gives a strength to the paper. It's not that we are propagating those companies and we want you to buy their licenses. If you can have free licenses from university, that is fine. But it gives you strength or backbone to your research, these models. That is why we say that you should use that, which Sarah also said.
And we have one question. Can you prefer few standard citation style?
Ma'am, it depends. Like in social sciences, it go for APA, like American Psychological Association. So we go for APA citations. So go with it. In English, it is MLA, that is Modern Language Association. In some countries, it is Harvard has its own citation process. Chicago had its own citation process. So it depends upon us, depends upon the person that who wants to be. I am the editor of my journal. I go for APA. So in APA, whatever is the citation, but I definitely check that that citation has to have that remarking on the beginning also. It should be there written in the research paper, only then it can be cited in the references. We just cannot cite something in the referencing. It's not if it is not cited in the research paper. So that is the point that we're taking care of. And in plagiarism also, we go for Turnitin again and again, and we check in Turnitin like every journal should have checked it. So that is the thing. And my papers have also been checked in Turnitin wherever I publish. That is the common goal. So I will be having these 2 papers only, and I will be looking for questions. So there's nothing more from my side to tell. And I will be sharing this paper with you. These are open access paper. You can circulate it amongst the people, and then they can have a look at it and read it and cite it.
Yes, many of them have been asking for the papers. We'll share it, sir.
Yes, definitely, guys. I will be sharing my papers with you. They are open access papers. If you give me just a minute, I will show you the website also of my journal. You can go there and you can download it from there. That is JCC. Amity.edu Gwalior Journal JCC.index. So you go to this website and you can download the current issue, June. And here it is. Is the Scopus Index Journal, UCK listed. These are the research papers. The DOIs are also working. So you can go on. You can see this paper also. This is a paper from Brazil. You have seen my paper, now see this paper from Brazil. He's from Sao Paulo. Gustavo has also used SCM, like we have used. So Brazil, they're also the same thing that we are doing here in India. And they're much ahead of us in research. The same kind of things that we have used. The result analysis, coefficient of structural modeling. So now everything is related to software. So as and when we are doing something new, we need to understand that what kind of software can be used and how we can work on it. So you can see this is the second paper, and it is also the same thing. I will show you one more paper. If you go to the third paper, the third paper will also be having the same thing. So these things are now the in things. You can see. So this gives strength to your papers and it looks good. So everybody, please go to the website and download the papers. They are free of cost. You can download and please use them, cite them, reshare them, but do not plagiarize them and do not use it as your own because you will be caught. And everybody.
So can you please share that paper link in the chat box so that they can get it easily?
Yeah. Enable chat. Where it is?
So here in the chat box.
Here
you can type. You can share the link below.
Where? Chats. Okay, here it is. Type your comment. Right. I will just see. Here it is.
Yes. So everybody who have been asking for the paper link, you can get it right.
You can download from there and utilize it. You can download it from there and you can utilize it. There's no worry in there.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. I think, okay. Our next question is, if a research is a pilot study, all the statistical analysis like correlation, coefficient, etc., is it mandatory?
Yes, pilot study, it is mandatory. Only then you can go for further study. You just cannot have a pilot study without the specific test. Although the data and the status valuation will be low, but at least you have some idea of that what you're about to do in 300 people. Like if you're doing a pilot study of 50 people, at least you have some idea that whether you should go for 300 or not. So always have a pilot study with all the tests. Do not have the pilot study without the. It does not signify anything.
Okay. And our next question is how to identify whether it's a good journal or a fake journal.
Yes, we can identify, but it will take 3 to 4 hours to give you a workshop. I will be taking this workshop on 8th and on 9th. But the basic rule is that just go to the website of that journal and try to see whether it is a cloned or different. Like in UGC, we have got around 24 cloned journals. And in predatory, in Scopus, you can check the predatory. You can see that how many papers he has published in 1 year. Like in 1 year, I have published 40 papers. That is of 2 editions. But here, some journals which have published 4,000 papers in 1 year is a predatory. You should not publish in those journals, which has more than 100 papers in a year. My target is to publish only 50, but you can go up to 100 if you have a special edition. Do not publish if they are having more than 100 papers in an edition of them. So go to Scopus and check the content coverage thing, and there you can see. So for if you go to how to detect, for that we need to attend some different workshop where we will just do the hands-on training on how to detect catch and catch, clone, and predatory journals.
Okay. And we have here another question. For qualitative, which one is the best software? How to be a better qualitative researcher?
NVivo, you should go for NVivo. We have Atlas GI also, but we are working on NVivo. My work is also coming. So it will give you word cloud also. It will give you sentiment analysis also. It will give you everything. So it's for qualitative, and it will explain the interviews also. You take the interview, put your interview in that, and then it will give you word cloud also. That is also kind of workshop material. You need to attend that wherever you want to, but go for NVivo in qualitative. And for quantitative, SPSS and Smart PLS, and then to R programming. These three there, and NVivo Atlas TI in qualitative.
Okay, okay. So I hope that's clear. And maybe we should move on to the last question. Why should we publish in indexing journals like Scopus or Web of Science only?
Because it has a credibility and reliability. If you publish in a journal which is not enough any indexing, this journal might close down. And if that journal closes down, what will be the impact of your research? Your research is only impacted if it is being published in a good index journal. So the journal will sustain the research and your research will be there online. If you publish in some of the journals which is not there online after 3 months or 6 months, what will be the use? Nobody will be able to see your research, and that research will be on every time archived in internet. You will be never use. You will be never be able to use your research again, and Turnitin will catch it as a plagiarism. So publish in a good journal, index journal, and focus on that only, and publish only 2 papers in a year. Do not go more than that. It is not possible to publish more than two good papers in a year. For social sciences and other researchers, my suggestion to you is only publish 2 papers in a year. And after 10 years, you will have 20 good impact papers with you. And after 20 good impact papers with 1,000 citations will give you a good career. Then have 15 papers of 0 impact and of 0 citation in a year. That is my answer.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for replying to all the queries. And with this, we'll move on to the end. And for all those who have been asking us for the PPTs of Dr. Mamun, we have given you the option to download by yourself. And the important links that you wanted from Dr. Sumit sir, we have shared it right in the chat box. And other than that, the usual questions of downloading the certificates, the details have been given in the file section where we have an entire procedure given on how to download the certificates. And I would also like to thank our academic partners, United Innovators, who has a great opportunity for all those looking forward to research article writing. We have given the link here in the comment box, and you can join now. They have exciting offers and very good research article writing opportunities. So tomorrow we'll be moving on to session 5, the last session of this webinar series. And towards that, and we'll be moving on to our next webinar series, which we'll be beginning from August 7th, which is on intellectual property. Towards that, end of August, we'll be moving on to PhD end-to-end assistant. So if you're interested to join, you may join now. The registration gates are open. And thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. I will my email ID.
Yes. Kindly share your email addresses so that they can write down questions to you.
Right.
So those who have, who haven't known sir has been serving as director of the School of Communications at Amity University in India. Since June 2013, he is also a media studies researcher focusing specifically on 2 areas, journalism and mass communication, and Gandhian and peace studies. He is also a published author and editor and an alumnus of Punjab University, Chandigarh in India. So thank you so much, sir, for joining us today evening. It was great to have you, and the knowledge shared by you.
I couldn't give you much time because I just wanted to show you the papers. I'm more into that. If somebody has some queries after listening to me or why this modeling is important, then we can have one more session with them as and when it is required by you.
Sure,
but please do send me the queries, and I am very, very happy if there are models. And this is the need of the hour for the researchers, that you need to have some kind of the model, some kind of statistical evaluation, some kind of software use, some kind of backbone given to a paper, so that it should not be rejected. And the plagiarism should not be there at all. You should believe in yourself and should give more references as much as you can.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you
all who have joined us on here today evening live, and also to all those who have been watching us live on YouTube. Thank you. And for more details, if you haven't known our upcoming events, you can follow our Facebook page, and you can also follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel for interrupted educational videos by reputed international speakers. Thank you, Dr. Sumit sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. Good day to everyone.
Good evening.